3. Prepare for battle.
One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know it just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one. Just practice, just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you back flip. Get it on down. Select and make your first pick. Get it on down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on down. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on down. Select and make your first pick. Get it on down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on down. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on down. Select and make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select and make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know it just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one. Just practice, just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you back flip. Get it on down. Select and make your first pick.
Hey, welcome back. It is March 10th, 2026, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you know what time it is? It is time for the Gaming Academy, where this show is where we break down the lessons and hidden inside the games we love and apply them to the real world. This is the place that you need to be around this time. You're going to learn something today. Of course, I'm your host and headmaster of the Gaming Academy, GQ Asian Dude, and tonight's class is officially starting in session. Now, here at the Gaming Academy, we believe something simple, but, powerful. Games aren't just entertainment, they're training. Yeah, that sounds crazy, but yeah, training in strategy, awareness, discipline, and problem solving. Now, that's what and why I created Gamer Quotient, and that's what we're all about. Now, we don't really measure how good you are at games, but how much gaming itself has sharpened the way that you think. Now, tonight's class is packed. We're opening the headmaster's desk to talk about something that quietly disappeared from gaming, the Player 2 controller and what meant for introducing people to games. That's going to be a really good one. Then we're diving into Memory Card Chronicles as we revisit some incredible moments from this week in gaming history. Nick is bringing the news with quick bites across Rumor Mill. Oliver's watching your wallet with the Watchdog, and Ace is stepping into the dojo with the tech to talk about navigating your gaming backlog through what he calls the segmented path. Now, of course, we'll close the night with the final boss, where we talk about something every gamer eventually encounters, the meta. Yes, not Facebook, but the meta itself. And why chasing it might actually make you forget the most important reason why we play games in the first place. So grab your notebook, power on your controller, and welcome back to the Gaming Academy. Class 69 is now in session. Nice. With that said, let me introduce you your faculty as I head over to the headmaster's desk. All right, guys, come on in.
There we go.
Haha, nice. He said the funny number.
He says the funny number and he disappears into the headmaster's desk and back.
Sure.
See you later.
That's great.
Yo, how was your week, guys?
On my end, pretty solid actually. Just been picking up on kind of topical to what I'm going to be discussing on the tech tonight. I've been going back through my backlog and revisiting a few favorites.
Just a few? It's a backlog. You got tons of favorites in there, don't you? Yeah. It's all mostly Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors.
Look,
that's it. That's the list.
That's it. That is the backlist.
Listen, we sat down and started playing Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate on Saturday, and it carried over into Sunday. So
hey,
Well,
I-
also, you also got down on some Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions too.
Nice.
Ooh. There you go.
God, I think we talked about that during one of our This Week in Gaming Histories that came up.
It's no Web of Shadows though.
No, it's no Web of Shadows.
That's my
but
jam.
You talking about like going into the next day reminds me. I sent a reel to a couple of my buddies, and it was showing a bunch of dudes our age getting together, do a LAN party, like mixed drinks, sleeping on air mattresses, like hanging out all night. I'm like, man, I want to bring that back. I want to just have one LAN party at a friend's place just to kind of relive that. There's just so much about that community, just being around them, that I just miss. It's one of the reasons I loved going to LAN parties back in the day. Like we're talking, like big cavernous hall with hundreds of people showing up with their CRT monitors, kind of thing. Don't have to do that nowadays. None of us have time for that or the money to host that many people. But
Right.
you know what I mean? Just
that's something that could technically be done with like Monster Hunter, for example.
And I think that's part of the reasons I loved going to events like PAX, when they'd have a bunch of things set up, like entire like arena style setups. Not where they replaced the developers with like YouTube gaming, not that, but just more so like when Artifact was being made by Valve, they had an entire arena style setup, like 40 computers for people to sit there and play against each other. It's just cool. I miss that vibe.
Yeah, I mean,
And in chat talking about being on an air mattress at this age, not being able to get up the same. That's why I have a camping cot. I can't do air mattresses. Anyway, I'm sure we're distracting. Headmaster, how you doing back there? Is this thing on?
I think we're still waiting for that.
That's all right. I suckered a whole bunch of people into playing State of Decay 2 this week. When I say a bunch, like, no, I got two of my boys. I got my wife re-upping her Xbox Live. I was like, it was just one of those things where a homie was like, what's State of Decay 2? And I was like, where the fuck have you been, man? like a year straight. He was like,
what's State of Decay 2? And then the fucking Cenobite shows up like, oh, we have such sights to show you.
And I was like, no, I think it's the best zombie game ever made. Not perfect, but the best one that we've got. And I got the homies on it, and they're like, oh no, this is tight. I was like, yeah. I was like, this is it's a system seller as far as I'm concerned. So that's literally what I did all week.
It's one of the reasons so many people are still kind of trying to get news on State of Decay 3.
Exactly.
Like wherever that is in dev.
Mm-hmm. And the last we know is that on the very last patch they put out for State of Decay 2, they basically said, we're done. We're shifting everyone over to State of Decay 3. So it's like, but, with everything that's gone on with Microsoft, you're kind of scared. You're like, biting your fingers, and they're like lawnmowers just flying off. Like, no, that's scary. I really want that to happen, though. And I think if Microsoft is smart, instead of putting Halo on the PS5, they needed to put State of Decay 2 on the PS5. Because this is like, I think they've sold like 20 million units or some weird nonsense number. But it's absolutely bonkers. And like, I'm just like, oh, there's only a little bit they have to do to make State of Decay 3 peak. Just a little bit, just a little bit more verticality. Don't have to make the maps bigger, just make the buildings taller. Make it scarier trying to get out. Let me jump out a window and land on a car and break half my legs. Some nonsense. I got to hobble back to base. What happened to you? Shut up, Tommy. Don't ask me questions. Just get the first aid kit. Right? You're all chicken winged up and shit.
Right? It's like, what happened to you? This ain't dying light. That's what happened.
Right. Right. I jump off a skyscraper. I jump 3 feet. It hurts. Oh, no. Like absolute cinema. Oh, no.
Hello?
Forever.
Is this thing on?
Oh,
no.
There we go.
Can you guys hear me?
Everyone's in trouble.
Absolutely.
The equipment in this office is really old, so excuse the lo-fi speaker. So, all right, guys, it's your favorite segment. I don't know, the two of you, your favorite segment. It is the Headmaster's Desk. This is the portion of the podcast where people submit in our audience things they want me to cover. Now, this week, this was a submission by the Blue Riot bot in our Discord, and he really wanted to point out that, you know what, the player 2 in a lot of our games have been missing lately. And we're not talking about multiplayer online. We're talking about local. 2 people sitting on the couch, giving somebody a controller 2, and then just playing along with you. And there are some games that also help benefit player 1, right? Like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, right? Also Jet Force Gemini and Child of Light. Not necessarily having another player, but more of a supportive role for player 1. So with that said, this segment is called The Missing Player 2 this week. Now, at the Gaming Academy, we often talk about how games evolve, with better graphics, larger worlds, faster systems, but sometimes the most interesting changes in gaming aren't about what we gain. They're about what quietly disappeared. Recently, a community member shared an observation that really stuck with me. We need more games where you can hand someone the player 2 controller and let them help out. Not compete, not carry their own weight, just participate. Many of us remember games like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where player 2 could control Tails. Maybe they weren't completing the level, but they were flying around collecting rings, hitting enemies, and being part of the adventure. Or maybe in Jet Force Gemini, where a second player could jump in to assist during missions. And more recently, Child of Light did something beautiful with this idea. One player controlled the main character, while player 2 controlled the glowing companion, helping collect items and influence battles. The second player wasn't leading the game, but they were still part of the experience. And that's the key word here, is experience. Because player 2 controller wasn't just a mechanic, it was an invitation. An older sibling introducing a younger one to games. A parent letting their kid try it for the first time. A friend sitting next to you, learning the ropes without the pressure of needing to master everything immediately. It created a low-stakes way to enter gaming. If you look around the industry today, that design philosophy is becoming rare. Modern multiplayer is mostly online, matchmaking replaced couch co-op, and most games expect every player to perform at the same level. In many ways, that makes sense. Technology made online gaming easier than ever. But it also removes something personal. That moment where someone sitting next to you asks, "Can I try?" And instead of explaining an entire control scheme, you simply hand them the second controller. It's interesting too because the industry sometimes asks why younger players aren't engaging with games the way previous generations did. But fewer games are designed to invite them in gradually. Outside of Nintendo, the occasional titles like Astrobot, the idea of designing games for shared family experiences seem less common than it used to be, and that's a missed opportunity. Now, because some of the most memorable gaming moments weren't all about finishing the level, they were about who you were sitting next to while playing it. So maybe the lesson from today's desk is simple. Not every game needs to be competitive. Not every game needs to demand mastery immediately. Sometimes the most powerful design decision a developer can make is simply leaving space for player 2. Because that second controller might not just create another player, it might create the next generation of gamers. So class, keep exploring, and if you ever find yourself holding player 1, don't forget to leave room for player 2. And that's tonight's Headmaster's Desk. I want to hear everyone's, kind of a take on this and their takeaways.
I've got a couple. I don't think it's gone away. But it has been de-emphasized in a huge, huge way. That specific thing of being able to help without you being the main character. So, a couple years ago, Blaster Master Zero came out on the Switch, and that has that exact mechanic in it where the player 1 is still playing as Jason, but player 2 is playing as a targeting reticle and can help during, the dungeon crawls and shooting enemies and assisting doing damage to the boss without them actually being the player. But it was 100% couch co-opable that way. We Love Katamari and its re-release with We Love Katamari Reverie and Reroll. That has always had a couch co-op 2 players. So one person is controlling one side of the ball and the other side. It's basically like potato sack race equivalent, right? Like where we're not going to get anywhere, or with your legs tied together, we're not going to get anywhere unless we're working together. And then, of course, Vampire Survivors has both local and online co-op, which is really, 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 really fun. And I can definitely tell you that Vampire Survivors, I watched that shape the perception of fun in a game with my brother last year when he was visiting from Alaska. So I had him sit down, him and his homie, and I was making pizza from scratch and doing all this other stuff. I was like, "Dog, I bought you this game on Xbox like 6 months before, and he hadn't touched it. And this time, I just put the controller in his hand, put the controller in their hand. I was like, it's easy. Walk around, do nothing else." And I watched it click over in real time. Like, oh, wait a minute, this game is tight. So, when I started doing my State of Decay stuff here, I went and checked. I was like, let me look at my brother's trophies. Oh no, he's platted the shit out of that game. He went through that and got every achievement. I'm so proud of him, but it's like, you know what, you could have listened to me a year ago. But the point is, he's still playing it because it's fun. It's just a fun game, right? Where, it's low pressure, low stakes. You know when the run's over. Either you're going to die or 30 minutes are going to pass, right? So it's very easy to get into, very easy to put down. And I think we need more games that you can do that with, where if you want to sit down and drop hours into it with a friend, you can, right? But if you're like, we're only going to play for a short burst and then we got stuff to do, you can step away from it too, just as easily, right? It's perfect equilibrium, right? So those games still exist, but they're just not emphasized nearly as much as they used to back in the day. That's a guaranteed. It's like 80% less emphasis on games that allow that. I mean, hell, what is it? Like Super Mario Wonder, I think, is one that does it too, right? Where you can kind of assist, like when you're playing with small kids. Like I could have swore we talked about that maybe a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
I do. So I was going to jump with what I thought too, but on your point specifically, the like Mario Odyssey, you got to play as Cappy as player
Mhm.
2, and Luigi's Mansion 3. I want to say you got to play as like a slime character or something, kind of the same thing that can like bypass puzzles and stuff like that. But that was another like I think it's called like I'm saying like a lot. I apologize, but I think that's called asymmetric co-op because it isn't you both being protagonists or players. It's that kind of lopsidedness. Kind of what we were talking about. The headmaster mentioned, Child of Light. So it's
Mhm.
player 2 controlling the fairy. So I think those are two options that I remember off the top of my head because there's a big deal about Cappy leading up to that and the hat being part of marketing. And I remember Nintendo trying to give those away, but it was partly because they could be that floating companion for it.
Mhm.
But go ahead. Sorry, I think that's kind of what you were talking about.
No, you. That was my point.
Oh, sweet.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I think it's especially if we're talking about this asymmetric. I think just we as gamers as a whole have it's we've seen it evolve beyond that. We're not looking for that too much. People want to be involved, and it's cool that these games have these options. But I'm just thinking more along the lines of like how things have changed, where you don't need to be that skilled right off the bat, but the way that games are being made where you can kind of learn the skills as you go along, even to someone who's not familiar with games. That's the experience I have with my wife, who's not a big gamer. But we played It Takes Two together, and that was awesome to play together because it was a slow build up of stuff. And there were things like maybe she struggled at, but the punishment for failing like a platforming section wasn't game over. It's just like they'd spawn back at the beginning and be able to go again. They make it more approachable. Um, I kind of think the same, like almost the opposite. Like the other thing that comes to my mind is playing Diablo with friends that go hardcore right off the bat and have the end game builds, and I show up, a week later and they're just running around killing everything, and I feel like I'm not really playing. I'm just along for the ride. And it's like that's not really fun for me. Like I want to be involved. I want to do something. I don't just want to die to the first like spawn that comes along and just spits at me incorrectly. So I just think we've kind of evolved beyond that, and although those things are good for like young players who don't really have much of an idea of what they want to do or don't want to have that big like pushback, there's games like It Takes Two, or even something like Broforce. When we were talking about that, if one of the players just dies, the other player can keep going. So if someone's bad, at least they can get a laugh out of it, kind of thing. Ace, I
When
see you
you
shaking your
say-
head, man.
Yeah,
What do you got?
It's actually funny that you mentioned Broforce because that was literally the first game that popped into my head, or at the very least the most recent one. Just thinking back to games like Broforce and how, hell, even after fidgeting with the controls a little bit, there is an option where you can have a second player set up in Final Fantasy VI. It really brings into focus for me how long it's been since we've had that kind of focus on asymmetric multiplayer and asymmetrical co-op. But you're right in that we have kind of evolved in a different direction from that as far as how games are developed and how that type of multiplayer is prioritized. But just overall, I mean, it's like GQ said when he was at the desk. Some of my favorite memories in gaming weren't just the games that I played, but who I was co-oping with or who was just hanging out with me at the time as we were playing. So it would be.
There's a reason so many people come to the store and ask us for co-op games when we were working in retail. People still, for years, through multiple gaming generations, we're still looking for that. So people are very aware of it. I think it's more so just the games themselves are more approachable to a wider audience of people. So there's less people just needing the Player 2 controller versus the sheer amount of people that want to try playing with you and don't want to be just that extra wheel kind of thing. Games like the Lego games, another good example of if I'm playing Lego Harry Potter with my wife. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. But if she doesn't get a boss encounter or keeps dying, it's just, she'll just keep respawning and I'll actually do the mechanics, right? And then we'll have a laugh about it.
Cool. I guess my only addition to this is hopefully somewhere down the road that they can kind of circle back on this topic. The game Sparklight, if you guys have ever heard of that. It's this really cute, very whimsical, very Legend of Zelda game where player 1 is the main character. Player 2 is just technically this hovering wrench that helps out player 1 pick up items and collect things. So it's not exactly enthralling gameplay, but it is something that somebody next to you can enjoy and play with. So without the pressure of performing well.
Right.
Fantastic. All right,
Spits on me incorrectly? Spits on me incorrectly? What does that mean, Nick?
I don't remember saying incorrectly. It's just when a demon spits on me and I just die.
He definitely said, when he spits on me incorrectly, I'm like, so you're saying there's a correct way to spit on you?
There is.
That's
Don't
for
ask
sure.
Blizzard. Don't ask Blizzard. They had to take spit out of the game. No slash spit for you anymore.
Anyway, we're selling it.
All right. Well, that was this week's Headmaster's Desk. So submit your submission in our Discord there, and I'll take a look at it and see if it makes it on the channel. So thank you, Blue Riot Bot, much appreciated. All right,
Shout out Blue.
You waited for it, folks. We're back here with This Week in Gaming History, Memory Card Chronicles, and my audio is missing. What the heck? There we go. I pressed the wrong button. All right, Nick, take us away since you're the first one to go.
I am the first one. So, in Memory Card Chronicles, the panel will take you, the class, on a trip through an entire week in gaming history. Each day of this current week features a game handpicked by one of the panelists. Together, we'll revisit 7 days worth of legendary releases, seismic industry shifts, personal stories, and the moments that made gaming unforgettable. Number 1, the first one, 3-8, gaming history. It looks like it's me. He's going to be putting it up here in a second.
Got the fancy cover. I see.
This day in gaming history, this was the copy that I had. So I did get the BioWare Signature Edition because I loved Dragon Age Origins. Absolutely love it. Dragon Age 2 comes out 2011, and my memory of this is the game that created debates on the store floor for us at Reset. Um, one of my coworkers was a huge Dragon Age 2 fan. I was a huge Dragon Age Origins fan. I loved Origins a lot because it kind of felt like one of those old school PC burn titles at the time, like non-voice acted main character choosing the text options, really having to dig into this giant world with tons of lore. You really have to go find every little thing. Dragon Age 2 was much more streamlined. When I learned about the development of this title, a lot of what I made a ton of this game and its dev time. This game had a turnaround from the first Dragon Age of having to be developed in 14 to 18 months to get this game out. So me talking about Origins and how big that game was, having all of Ferelden and then complaining that we only get Kirkwall in Dragon Age 2, it's because they had that turnaround. The game was actually originally called Dragon Age Exodus. It was supposed to be this bridge to what Inquisition was going to be. It also had a canceled expansion called Exalted March that was canceled due to the reception of this title. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, or if anyone chat is not, they made it more action-based. You got to play as Hawk, which was pulling directly from the way that Mass Effect was built with playing with Shepard. We had the actual like wheel of responses now, as opposed to just like clicking 1 through 7 of which response you want. So it felt like this really distilled version that was focused more on action. Now, like I said, there was someone on staff that I was working with that absolutely loved this one, and if it was that game for you, if you love the more action-based thing, like I get it, the characters in this one are super memorable too, but man, having to explore the same dungeon over and over again because they only had one that was generated really ground on me. Don't know about you guys, but that's my memory of this one.
Yep. Like, nope, that's the memory of it. You're like, yo, you're gonna keep going back to that damn coast. You're gonna do it. Oh man. And then with the infinite money and XP bug, that's when I tapped out. That was so early on too. I was like, I finished the game, but boy, I was salty as shit about it the whole week. I let everybody know. I was like, this is a hot mess. No, it was a tragedy.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that coworker. I haven't talked to them in years. We're not really in the same circles anymore since we don't work together. I'd be interested to see how this game ages for them, especially with Inquisition and Veilguard coming out. What was that?
Ages for them.
Yeah, ages. Dragon Ages.
I actually, this is like with the immediate success and my favorite Dragon Age game, the first one, I really wanted to try this out, and then I immediately was like, this is not exactly the first game. I don't mind the graphics and the gameplay, but yes, seeing the same locations over and over again in repetitive quests made me feel like I was like a beat cop. Right? Like I just had patrolled the streets over and over because there just wasn't enough variety in the walls of Kirkwall, right? Versus the first game. And that's how I'm comparing it, basically.
Yeah.
You came up and said, boo! You're like, what the hell y'all doing?
Yeah, yep.
Get off that corner.
You a mage? Stop it.
Yeah. This is definitely not one of those ones where I'm just like, hey, this would be a really good what if in the gaming history kind of thing. There's so many better ones. But part of me always kind of wonders, like, if they were given more time, would it be fully fleshed out? Would it be more along the lines of what we got later on? Or would this have been better as just a one-off story, kind of what we got Dragon Age Origins Awakening, if it was Dragon Age Origins Exalted March? You know, if it was just meant to be an expansion, it was just to mention this part of the story, but then it had to get cut down so many times and then stretched out with what they had with that dev time, like what we could have gotten out of it, and you know, maybe that wouldn't have been this mark against it. At least in my own personal experience. Plenty of people that did like that title.
Budget. All right. Ace, got anything to contribute?
I mean, I actually didn't really get around to playing too. I mean, I sat down and I ground Origins into the dirt.
That's what's up.
But
That's what's up.
you know, Dragon Age 2 hit, and I mean, I saw it and I saw how it was changed, and you know, it was one of those things where you know, it just wasn't really in my wheelhouse at that point, so I just moved on to something else.
Hey, totally fair. I do know something that's in your wheelhouse, and it's coming up right now.
Oh yeah.
Bam.
Oh, buddy. So, for us PS1, stealth action fans, for those of us, coming off of Metal Gear Solid, when we started playing Tenchu, the original game, it was such a breath of fresh air because it was still taking that classic stealth action that we had gotten used to and, giving us something a little bit more of what we're used to, ninjas, stealth, it makes sense. But with Tenchu Return from Darkness, this one holds a special place in my heart because, not necessarily for me getting to play it when it came out, but getting to it back in 2024. Because, over the course of my time, with emulation and game preservation, I'm always looking for stuff to stream that I can play where I don't have to worry about going back to retro shops to try and find the game and watch my wallet sobbing to itself. But, a couple years back, I had actually found a decent Xbox emulator to play some of my old favorites like Brute Force and Ninja Gaiden. And I came across this one, and I'm like, wait a minute, Return from Darkness, what's this? And, I find out that it's a port of Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. So, I sat down, tinkered with it for a little bit, and started getting that old muscle memory back from the original Tenchu, and boy, it was a Ratatouille moment for me. Like I started having auditory hallucinations because I thought I heard a couple of my friends sitting behind me just bugging out, just losing their minds over some of the stuff we could do back in Tenchu. It felt just like that. So it was nice seeing, another game that was being, another game whose tradition was being carried on through the Xbox, like, most of my Dreamcast favorites getting sequels. But what about you guys?
God, I remember being a puppy walking into Software Etc. and just seeing the demo for Tenchu, right? Like that OG Tenchu. And it's just like you said, coming off of Metal Gear Solid, and it was a very different, and you could mess up so quick. you could mess up that first assassination, breaking into that it was breaking into the Shogun's fortress, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, no, you get messed up real quick. And one thing I know for sure, to this day, people are still clamoring for more Tenchu, right? I think that's one of the reasons that Sekiro sold so well, is people wanted that Tenchu hit. They really did, like, and they're just not. We got Assassin's Creed, Shadows.
You see catching strays.
Yeah, it's like you just give the people what they want. Just give it to them. They'll show up. And if they don't, well, that'll be the proof. The proof is in the pudding. You can go, y'all motherfuckers didn't show up. There, we'll never do it again. Throw it out the window and call it a day. Just try it. Just go ahead.
And don't put it on a doomed system like Capcom did with Darkstalkers.
Right? Don't
I'm still salty about that.
Right? Just let it be. Just let the people have it, and you'll get your answer.
Didn't we get a trailer for like this multiplayer Tenchu game that wasn't Tenchu? Anybody remember that in the state of play or something? Chat, do you guys remember what that was? I remember going, that's Tenchu, but it's not called Tenchu.
Oh my god, I cannot remember for the life of me right now.
Well, if that's the case, put it on chat if you guys know what it is. But coming up here is a game that I remember, even though I didn't own a Wii.
Yes, I did find it. Yako Shinobi Ops.
Oh, cool.
Shinobi Ops.
Yeah, and it is the Tenchu devs working on it.
Huh.
Yes, because we were like, oh, that's neat. Yeah, this is just announced in February. Just took me a second to find it, but yeah, we were like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Okay, well, something to keep an eye on then.
Yeah, because it was kind of like isometric, and it almost kind of had that Diablo-like look. right? And
That-
had
yeah.
light shadows and everything.
Exactly. I can't remember. Man, I swear I was like, how did I forget what that was? Because I actually was interested in.
It's because the name is terrible. That's why. That's why. That's
What
all.
about? Well, this name is not terrible. I think this name is awesome. And this was your pick. Tell us more.
Look, here's the score. Here's the score, kids. It is well known. It is known. Okay. It is known how much I hate Platinum Games. I do not like that company. I cannot stand them. I can't. They've never made a single game that I've liked except the one on screen. Mad World. I love Mad World so freaking much. And here's your little brief history on this. So, this is literally the first game from Platinum Games. It's the first one that got published, and there were 4 games that Sega worked with them on, just on the strength of the company. And so the 4 games that came out, like right at the very beginning, and looking at it as a whole, it makes sense on why people were very have so many hopes, right, for them. And those first 4 games were Mad World, Infinite Space on the DS, Bayonetta, and Vanquish, right? And I know for a fact that people love Bayonetta and they love Vanquish, 2 games that I cannot stand. But Mad World was something different because they wanted to go for this Sin City style on the Wii, of all things, right? And they had, I think Steve Bloom actually plays Jack. They had Joe DiMaggio being color commentator for it. It is ultra violent. It's actually very readable and easy. It's just sheer over the top cartoon nonsense. Here's how much I love Mad World, right? And I consider it one of the finest goofy games ever made. I bought a Wii again in the last damn year and got a copy of Mad World. I got an HD upscaler just so I could stream that shit. Because I'm like, oh, you don't know about Mad World? Oh, no. Oh, no. Listen, I still have like over half of this soundtrack. No, that's keyed up on the MP3 player. No. It had the sickest rap soundtrack, right? And it's all just pure nonsense, right? Come on, I know Ace knows the words. I know you know the words. Jack, he's a psychomaniac. That's right. It's death on sight.
Yep.
It don't matter who's wrong or right. You're like, oh, I'm a murderer. Okay.
Pretty much.
You be taking and it's like
In the video
you do
game,
combo
too.
kills.
And look,
It's like, how much can you disrespect this person before they explode into chunks? That's really the gameplay of Mad World. It's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this stop sign, jam it through this dude's neck, punch him a couple of times in the guts, take him, light him on fire, then put him in a fucking dumpster on fire. And Joe DiMaggio, Bender's back there going, damn, that dude got fucked up. You're like, this might be the greatest thing I've ever played, right? If Jack Thompson had still been in action, Mortal Kombat would have looked like a slap on the fucking wrist. This game right here is an actual murder simulator. And I love it. I'm going to play it again soon.
now look, this right here is exactly why, like, if nothing else, outside of any of the different kind of Muso games, I've been constantly chomping at the bit for someone to finally get off their ass and make. One thing I have been dying to see, I'm going, Sega and Platinum are leaving money on the table not doing this. A Mad World Anarchy Reigns collection.
And speaking of that, even though it failed commercially, it did. Basically, all 4 of those games failed commercially. Yes, Bayonetta. Yes, Vanquish. Yes, Infinite Space. Yes, Mad World. They all failed commercially. You're like, what? Bayonetta? It just didn't meet numbers, right? Even though people are like, oh no, I love Bayonetta. And they obviously, we've still been getting Bayonetta. But no, they all failed. And Platinum Games still wants to make a sequel to it, to Mad World. And I absolutely support that. If they make a follow-up to Mad World, I'll be the first one in.
Do you know what this kind of gives me vibes of too? Is another one that James had mentioned in the past. I want to say last year, Anarchy Reigns.
He's in there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Ace,
mean-
Ace has talked about that a ton too.
Yeah, that's
'cause he played
Ace
the hell out
game.
of that.
He's
Oh,
always
yeah.
on. He always has that on the stream.
Of course. Again, same thing as Mad World and Anarchy Reigns. You've got that killer soundtrack. Well, Jack is back is actually one of the two main protagonists in the game, and although they actually went, the whole Wizard of Oz Technicolor compared to Mad World's, stark, high contrast blacks and whites, a lot of the combat flow from Mad World carries over into Anarchy Reigns. So yeah, there's going to be points where you could take literally pluck a stop sign out the ground, chuck it at someone like a freaking javelin, watch them running around with this thing still sticking out of their head like branches, and then completely proceed to disrespect them.
That's a great review for the game.
That's how they went. That's how they went. They were absolute ballers.
Well, these the next on 311, these two games here, these games are ballers. So I will.
Now,
yep. Go ahead.
yeah. Now, normally we would only do one game a day, but it felt rude and improper to not mention Chrono Trigger as in
Absolutely.
this day of history. This came out in 1995 on the Super Nintendo. I don't care what anyone says. The discussion is shut down. Chrono Trigger is one of the greatest video games ever made. Full stop. Right? It is the Back to the Future of video games. It's such an important and influential game that I have no problem with saying that it literally impacts me even now as an adult. In fact, on my own store, my art store, I have no less than 3 works based off of Chrono Trigger. I've created a work that's Robo giving Luca the green dream, and Shala giving Yanis her pennant, and of course I even have a phone case that's a design of Chrono and Marl flying away in the ending. Like no, it's a monster sized game, and the fact of the matter is this: Square has never followed up. They have never followed this up with the same caliber of quality, like in any title. I don't care, and everyone knows how I feel about Vagrant Story, but no, Chrono Trigger is something special. It's one of those things where if you were to go, hey, we're going to do a complete remake and update it for modern times, boy, they're going to be throwing pitchforks and all kinds of horrifying shit in the streets. Like, you don't do that. You best to just leave that one alone. Now, they've re-released the game a few times over the years. They re-released it on the PlayStation as part of Final Fantasy Chronicles. And didn't that come alongside Final Fantasy IV, if I remember correctly?
Or
Yep.
correct. Yep.
And then there's a ever so gently expanded Nintendo DS version that actually allows you to deal with the Dream Devourer, and that's Shala and Lavos merged together, right? Like trying to create a bridge between it and Chrono Cross. So it's definitely a thing. Now the other game,
Shala, inshallah.
oh boy, see now we got to throw him away.
And
then the other title for today is another major impactful game of my life. And on this day, the original Monster Hunter comes out on PS2 in Japan. At this point, I've been playing Monster Hunter for half of my life. For 22 years, I've just been all the way in Monster Hunter. When people go, oh, what's Monster Hunter? I go, I buy systems to play Monster Hunter. Like, full stop. I don't give a fuck what the hardware is. If Monster Hunter is going to show up on it, and that's the platform it's exclusive on, then I'm going to do it. Right? And, Monster Hunter was such a weird little title, but also not unlike Mad World and Sega, throwing in their support. The history of Monster Hunter actually goes back to a deal between Capcom and Sony when Sony was trying to put out their broadband adapter, which is why you see that big ass, online broadband only connector or that logo on that box art. And that is because like I said, Sony was really pushing this broadband adapter and eventually pushing the hard drive for Final Fantasy XI. So Capcom said, we will support this hardware, and here are the games that we are going to put out that exclusively need that to work, right? And the games were Automata Lista, which was a cell shaded racing game, Resident Evil Outbreak, and Monster Hunter. Those were the games specifically made to take advantage of that hardware, and it is the only one to survive, right? Because it was weird, it was different, it was quirky. I remember working in the store when it came out. You know, PSO was on its last legs, and me and the boys needed somewhere to go because we realized that we liked playing games together, bigger worlds, but we didn't like doing it with 4,000 other assholes. So it was like, wait a minute, this is kind of a good, compromise on that. And no, I fell in love. I fell completely in love with this game. I was talking about this game with my wife before we were even a couple. Just like, I'm like, no, this is so amazing that you have to sit down and you need to actually think about what you're doing. This is not just run in there, slash and gash, and collect butt nonstop. This was not Devil May Cry. This was something different. You needed to be very mindful of your actions and learn the ecology and learn the ecosystem. And now, we just came off a year ago, the most recent release of Monster Hunter Wilds, and no matter how much time has changed, in 22 years, the core has pretty much stayed the same. You got 50 minutes, you got a target, go figure your life out, kid. And if you fuck up, you need to think about why you did. And if you were successful, take that monster's butt cheeks and make a new hat out of them. We will know that you are the guy that killed the ass monster. Like that's like, oh yeah, no, I got one of those hats too, just big butt cheeks flapping in the wind. No, it's great. It's great stuff.
Fun fact, I was really bad at this game when it first came out because I didn't get it because I was the masher, I was the Devil May Cry player, and I was like, man, this is too what do you call this? Like, you have to commit to these moves, right? So you're right about thinking about what you need to be doing in this game. And I definitely was not. I would say my gamer quotient wasn't high enough when I first started playing this game. So that's a good memory for me.
I'm gonna bust myself out real quick because my wife is talking mad nonsense. But she said he pitched Woo by explaining Monster Hunter via free nights and weekends long distance. If that tells you anything about how long ago it was, I'd be sitting there trying to deal with a fucking Rathalos breathing fire down my neck, and I got my Nokia. I'm sitting here. I'm like, don't call until after 7. Don't call after 6. So I just have a PM. Yes, it was a hot minute ago.
Oh no!
Hot minute back.
What about you? What about you guys? Any experience with the first OG Monster Hunter?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Not for me either.
I
didn't play it. I honestly didn't play Monster Hunter until one of the more recent titles. And then even then, I didn't stick with it long.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And like I said, it definitely when it first released, I was like, dude, am I a bad gamer? Like, this game made me feel bad about myself, which is okay. Now I love it. It's great. So.
What's funny is that literally, like, out of all the games that were mentioned for like the broadband, the only one that I really played, in depth comparatively was Resident Evil Outbreak.
Oh yeah, I don't think I had enough online friends at the moment with that. But this next game here is a game that I actually been eyeing myself, and everybody in chat will probably be like, why aren't you playing this game yet, James? So Nick, tell us why you love Yakuza 0.
Oh man, let me count the ways. Very unsurprising for everyone who's been anywhere near our chat, Andre especially. This is still, to this date, the best entry point to get into the RGG, Like a Dragon, Yakuza mythos. The best part of this one was its setting. It was set in the 80s, like right at the end of that big bubble that was happening. So everyone was flush with cash. This is what it was in Japan. So it has this vibe to it already. this was also the game that, for me at least, and I think for a fair amount of fans, just based on the stuff I've been reading throughout the years, that really hit the tonal balance perfect between that serious emotional story with a bunch of just stupid, funny side quests. I've said it before, but my title on here is Cabaret Club Manager. That's because that's one of the stories, side stories in this game, a whole like mini game that's built into this that I will play just a single release of. But the biggest thing that shined about this, why I'm always talking about it, why I'm trying to get James in on it, why I try to get all my friends on it, is because it's that entry point. You don't have to know anything else about the series. Now, you get more out of it because you've been playing it, but you don't need to at all. This was also really when the studio itself has been refining their process, and this is just a really well put together game across the board, and it was the first released on PS4, so it looked great, it controlled great, it had just a bunch of content that's in it. It's really hard to explain how cool it was to see the start points for these characters and be able to play something that was just such a complete package this far into the series, because this was after Yakuza 4, this was after Yakuza 5, this was 0, going back to the very beginning. You find about the origins of Kiryu, how he got started as a Yakuza, how Majima came to be, the whole Majima storyline at the end, when you realize like there was a lot more depth to that character. We didn't know that at that point. This was all brand new information for players. So getting this really good, serious story that gave a ton of nuance to like the last 5 games you played, like I said, it's just hard to explain like how good it was because of that. But if you're just walking in, it's a great place to get started. Like I said, so much content, so much side stories. The combat is still the action combat from the original series, so it's not the turn-based one yet. I just enjoy it, and it was all about making money. Like you're seeing some of the heat actions you're doing there, you just get money for beating up dudes.
Money.
It was also the fact that with the dual protagonists, as you got to play as Kiryu and you got to play as Majima, they each had multiple fight styles for each of them. So it was really fun just to switch between them, see the different styles, know which fights they were good for. It was just so much fun to play from beginning to end. And it was one of those titles that it really made me appreciate playing through the entire thing, trying to be completionist and having it feel kind of natural to do that. It doesn't just feel like a checklist until you get to like to the end game kind of thing. But yeah, James, I hope you play it, man. Like, still, I would love to get your opinion on it. Obviously, this is now a game that's 11 years old, but I have the still original release on PS4. You know, some of the more recent content releases with RGG Studios, there's content being cut or things being changed, but play the original iteration. I will not stop talking about it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'd buy that for $1.
that's right.
A little bit of Yakuza 0 trivia for you, Nick. I'm not sure if you had not sure if you'd come across this yet, but the opening theme for the Japanese release for Yakuza 0 is literally called Bubble, and it describes the vibe of Tokyo in the 80s, with in the midst of the economic bubble, and how close Japan is literally getting to the point where it's going to pop.
I did know that, but I do appreciate you sharing that. That's very very good information to know. It really defined that entire style. Like I said, it was taking place at the end of the 80s, the culture there, the fear about a bubble popping, and then eventually it did. And that's part of the reason people ask, like, after Zero, like, here you should have a ton of money. I made so much money during that game. You're like, oh, but the bubble popped. He's poor again.
It's like
All
that.
I remember is Mr. Shakedown.
Yeah.
Mr. Shakedown, and you damn near drop kicking someone out a window. Well, no, not damn near. Actually, drop kicking someone out.
You do.
Oh, and also, I remember the missus describing the Yakuza series, wrapping it up in literally 2 words: casual insanity.
Yeah.
Casual insanity. It's
You
interesting.
do be beating a
Damn
dude to
words.
death with a bicycle, so it's anybody's game.
Oh man, I don't know. It's one of those things, like, for me, again, it's always that balance. It's this very melodramatic, almost kind of like crime story that you get, that's one of the reasons I always enjoy watching it. If you watch any kind of Japanese cinema, or if you ever watch Outrage or Beyond Outrage, the Japanese Yakuza films, like, gets the vibe that you're looking for in these games. If you're interested in it, definitely check it out. It's that very serious, Japanese crime story kind of thing. It's just, the thing about Yakuza is then it flips the switch where you are carrying a knife in your mouth, doing breakdance moves, killing dudes that are trying to shake you down for money as you pound more energy drinks. Like
Right.
and
Sounds like casual
I didn't
insanity.
I didn't even get to mention, but like, you can actually do a one of the side story mini games in Yakuza Zero. Besides my favorite, the Cabaret Club, is you can actually be a real estate tycoon, and one of your managers can be a chicken named Nugget.
Yeah, I forgot about Nugget.
Yeah, Nugget, the
just a homie.
bowling phenom.
Yeah,
Bowling
Yes.
phenom. Well, I think this next game was a phenom of its time in 1996 here. Let's see here. March 13th, Descent 2 arrived on PC. Ace, this one was your pick.
Yes, indeed. Now this one, again, this is one of those games where, playing it took me back to the time that I spent with the original, much like with Tenchu. The original Descent was one of those games that quite literally defined my weekends. Right, staying up late at your homeboy's place, getting absorbed, and sitting on the computer playing stuff on the PC like Warcraft or Command and Conquer, Rise of the Triad, or
Preach.
Descent. And just the tense pacing of the game, the claustrophobic setting, the high octane action, like literally you get so wrapped up in just keeping your focus on what's going on the screen that you blink, and the next time you look away from the computer when you're shutting it down, the sun's already coming up over the backyard. Now, what number 2 did was it added a few quality of life improvements that helped expand on what made the first one great. So you already had stuff like, there was actually like a little, I want to say a guide bot that helped you navigate the tunnels. And I forget, but I think that was actually, another asynchronous multiplayer feature.
If you
So,
look at the scale of those astronauts, they're huge. If that's a ship, that's crazy.
Yeah.
those are big ass dudes.
Or you're part of Miss Frizzle's class and she shrunk you down.
That's true. Or you're a drone.
What in the name
well,
of?
that's the thing about Descent, though. You're not in a spaceship. You're in an underground probe. So the vehicle that you're in is, more closer to about the size of a.
Oh, so you're like going into the core of the world, right?
Yeah.
That's right. For what I remember.
Yeah, that's Descent.
Yeah, my 2 seconds on this thing was that I played this for a while until I got, how you can like you lose sight of gravity, which is the ground. When I do that, I just give up. I'm like, I don't know where I'm at anymore. I'm done.
That's fair, and do be careful, because this is one of those games where you will try and after like 3 or 4 hours playing this thing, and again just focusing on the screen, you will get up and kind of lose balance.
Oh yeah. That too. Hey, how about you guys on Descent or Descent series? I don't.
Oh man, I could talk about this all the time. This was one of the ones I mentioned before. This was my love of DOS PC games, was because of the original Descent. It's one of the things I always think of fondly. It was one of the games I played constantly. It's the one where I tied up the phone line with the fax machine to play with my buddy who lived like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
I love Descent. Like I said, there's so much nostalgia there for me. I was not great at it, and going back and playing it later in life, because I picked it up on like GOG for like $1, was later in the game how difficult it can be because of what it throws at you. It's unforgiving. It's a bunch of like tracer shots from the enemies that are hitting. They know when you're peeking out around the corner. Like, it's just not fun to play later on in the game. But I didn't play 3 as much as I played the first 2. But yeah, man, this is a significant amount of nostalgia. Will take me back just hearing the doors opening or the things flying around.
All right, cool. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't really big into it. I played the first one, but they made an offshoot called Free Space, which was actually in outer space, which reminded me of Colony Wars on the PlayStation. That one was really good. I enjoyed that one a lot. But the one where you're underground, I'm like, I'm actually claustrophobic and I just don't know yet. But it just made me dizzy. It just, I just get confused with tunnels, so it's rough. So.
Also, shout out to this game being the first Parallax Software game that I played, the team that eventually became Volition.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Did they ever do a 3? I don't remember. Did they do 3?
Descent? Yeah. I think.
Okay, was that on PC?
Oh, wait, no, it was something that was talked about. Descent 1 and 2 was the only thing. Sorry. I got confused on the series. I didn't play 3 because I started playing Descent Free Space, like you said. Because it was literally called Descent Free Space. I think it was the Great War.
That would do it.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, that's why I'm like 3. Like, no, it's just Nick. What are you doing?
All right, chat. Well, that was your This Week in Gaming History. Thank you. All right, can't get away with it, but since we're talking about space, let's have Ace take a crack at this one.
All right. So before we move on to the next lesson class, let's take a quick moment to talk about something, something important. Style. Now, if you're watching the screen right now, you might notice something familiar. It's actually looking like some of our crew from the Outlaw Star decided to stop by the Gaming Academy this week. We've got Twilight Suzuka on the left, bringing the calm assassin energy. Melfina in the center, holding the Gamer Quotient mug, looking like she's about to guide the next adventure. And of course, Aisha Clan on the right, looking like she's pretty much ready, as always, to punch through a whole bloody fleet.
That's great.
But look closer. Go ahead. Zoom in a little bit. And you'll notice that they're not repping the Outlaw Star crew this time. They're actually repping Gamer Quotient. Clean tees, the official mug, the tumbler ready for those late night gaming sessions. It's because Gamer Quotient isn't just merch. It's the mindset. It's the idea that gaming builds strategy, awareness, discipline, and helps you level up in real life too. So whether you're exploring the galaxy, grinding ranked matches, or just grabbing your morning coffee, you can represent the mindset. Because around here, we don't just play games. We train. We adapt. We increase our Gamer Quotient. Only question left remaining is, what's yours? Make sure you,
I'll go ahead.
make sure you grab the Neurogamer tee at gqasiandude-shop.fourthwall.com. Check out the product section. You'll find all the goodies we got there for you.
I was going to say, it just brings me back to Monster Hunter, how terrible I was at that game. And it's a good reflection of how I've increased my Gamer Quotient over time. Because, man, I was bad at that game. I was really bad. I did not understand what was happening. That's for sure. Awesome, man. Yeah, so keep an eye out because we have a lot more anime friends to introduce Gamer Quotient to. So, with that said, I think I'm ready for some news with some quick bites. Let's go. Yeah.
Now, before I jump into it, Ace, what year did Outlaw Star originally run?
Oh,
you're
trivia.
trying to hit me with the trivia. All right, come on. And honestly, I cannot think of it right offhand for the life of me.
Is it
98?
Oh man, I was gonna say 96. Dang.
You would have been close.
Yeah,
That does make me feel old.
crazy.
I also feel old anytime I go back and watch like Cowboy Bebop and just see like the year copyrighted during
my first time seeing Outlaw Star was when it premiered on Toonami. So
yeah, when it was being narrated by Peter Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, Quick Bites, my favorite time of the night. Quick Bites Rumor Mill is the Gaming Academy's rapid fire roundup of the biggest stories, updates, and whispers in the gaming world from this last week. Because an informed gamer can actually understand what is happening in the industry around us. Like why the PlayStation is pulling back from PC releases. That's something worth knowing, right? All right, happy Mario Day, everyone. If you didn't know, it's March 10th, Mar-EO. Right now. Yes, a little bit of stretch there for you, but in case you forgot, that is today. March 10th is here, and it's Mario's 40th. So if you didn't feel old before, you do now.
Oh, I'm back.
There's some news for you. Yeah, it's time for that back. In case you missed it, there's some actual sales on some Nintendo titles happening right now on the official Nintendo website and on the eShop. Just a couple quick hits, $20 off Super Mario 3D World, which I just picked up recently to play with my wife. $20 off Luigi's Mansion 3. Super Mario RPG is actually down to $42, as is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD and Super Mario Party Jamboree. Again, you don't really see Nintendo going on sale with much of their games, but for Mario, it's happening right now, and these sales are actually running through the 16th, so you have some time to pick it up if you're going to wait for that paycheck to hit. There's a handful of others, but those are the ones that stood out to me. Resident Evil fans have been eating pretty good, especially with Requiem's release. It's sold more than 5 million copies in 2 weeks and has become one of the franchise's fastest-selling games ever. On top of that, the game's director, Nakanishi-san, announced on X today that a new story expansion is actually in the works, in addition to continued bug and performance fixes. Now, there's no release date that's been shared, but the devs did state, quote, "It will take some time." While we're talking about Resident Evil, the original director of Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami, is now the resident director at Unbound Co. This studio was founded in 2022, but reports from InsiderGaming.com shared that it's now known the studio is working on a high-end AAA title. Another name attached to the studio is Masato Kimura, who was the producer at Ghostwire Tokyo. It sounds like the team is going to try to balance like a AAA quality with a AA content in order to stay balanced on release schedules. A couple of the interviews they did was kind of noting how much more difficult it is to develop AAA titles in Japan as compared to overseas in the West. So we'll see what comes of that, but there's some pretty solid talent that's tied to it. Ballistic Moon, the UK dev of former Supermassive talent, has been officially dissolved. Last year, there was reports that the team were tapped by Sony, by the way, to create the enhanced remake Until Dawn, was effectively closing. So this is yet another studio shakeup or official closure, which leads us to the other news that broke this week, which was Electronic Arts. Yesterday, news broke that EA made wide cuts across all Battlefield studios as part of their realignment. These layoffs hit employees across Criterion, DICE, Ripple Effect, and Motive. Now, this is all in the heels of Battlefield 6 launch, which had a great release, but has been struggling to retain players, and reports of dev team anxiety about the game's roadmap going forward. Keep in mind, again, for framing on this happening, these cuts happening right now, Battlefield 6 was the best-selling game of 2025. It sold an estimated 20 million copies. It was the biggest launch in franchise history. It sold 7 million copies in 3 days, and it beat Call of Duty, its direct competitor, for the first time in who knows how many years. Despite that fact, all of these layoffs are hitting now. All that talent's going to be out in the market. Sucks to see. 2 new games have been talked about online this last week, both having had launches and intense focus on their player counts. First up is Slay the Spire 2, which launched at $25 in early access on March 5th on Steam. Into the weekend, it shot past the 500,000 mark, settling on 526,000 concurrent players with an overwhelmingly positive rating already. The dev team behind the roguelike deck builder, Mega Crit, were blown away by the response and have also made news via an interview on Destructoid, where co-founder Casey Yano has said the team hates microtransactions and wants players to have the same experience across the board. Second up was the official launch of Bungie's extraction shooter, Marathon. I know we've talked about it a lot leading up to this, but the game has released. Currently sitting with a very positive rating on Steam, the game hit an all-time high play count on Steam of 88,137 players. While numbers are trending downward right now, extraction shooters aren't exactly the most popular titles, much less ones with a $40 premium price tag up front to get into the game. In addition to that, Bungie has been quickly responding to player feedback, adjusting microtransactions, and discussing player response to its battle pass. Time will tell whether these numbers will be good in the long run. We're really kind of wondering at this point if it's going to sustain that project long term. We've been talking in our Discord community a lot about PlayStation pulling out of the PC market. I also said it at the very top of this. Some research from Newzoo via Games Industry Biz has dropped, and it was showing off some things that were telling us that PS5 games on PC are increasingly losing their audience share. On average, the report showed 13% of total players for PS4 PS5 titles are actually from the PC. The report notes that by comparison, comparable AAA titles that launch simultaneously on PC and console see PC representation closer to 44%. So kind of a big difference. Unsurprisingly from that, the report also noticed that because PlayStation chose to release some of their first-party titles like Horizon Zero Dawn and the Spider-Man games much, much later than the console version, that it significantly impacted the player's choice to buy on PC. Big surprise. But those numbers are kind of why we're seeing them pull back from the PC market. So it's really interesting that, we're seeing reports now kind of backing up the data that Sony's seeing, but a little bit of that is because of their own choices. So, oh well. Sad news for Gang of Dragon fans. I know, James, you were super hype about that one. This is the first title being released by Toshihiro Nagoshi's studio. It has definitely been a game some of our regulars and even panel members have looked forward to since its reveal at the 2025 TGAs. So much so, in fact, that I actually have a lot of friends who I've been trying to get into the Yakuza games for a while. They were hyped when they saw Gang of Dragon, and they were texting me about it. I was like, finally, they're going to come to me. NetEase has decided to cease funding for the studio, reportedly because of rising dev costs and a high overhead to complete the game. Now, the funding ends in May, which came after a report that NetEase found out that the game would need an extra $44.4 million to be completed. Nagoshi Studio intends to push on and seek funding elsewhere, which was allowed by the publisher, but I gotta say, that makes me super disappointed. Like I said, so many fans were about to get in on it. I was finally going to get some more Yakuza 0 sales. I swear I am not affiliated with them, and I'm not being sponsored by them, but I will stand for them all day. Moving on, South of Midnight, originally an Xbox and PC exclusive, which I played and liked, especially calling out the great visuals that are in that. They did confirm a release on PlayStation 5. That's going to be March 31st at the end of this month. Definitely check it out. Capcom announced that Pragmata will actually be releasing early and is now set to launch on April 17th, so you don't have to wait longer for that one. I did post on Discord as well the cryptic Bandai Namco new RPG announcement for March 5th. I know we were all just like, what could this be? Well, it turned out to be Echoes of Ironclad, and it's a Sword Art Online universe title. It's scheduled for release July 10th in the US. One thing that is already boding well for it, though, is that for the first time in an SAO game, the main character will be a player creation, and it will be an original story. So you will be interacting with some of the characters from the story, but you won't be playing Kirito. You can have your own character, guys. We can finally move on from it.
I can be Mirito.
Mirito. Last but not least, good old Xbox is back in our quick bites. Microsoft announced the project name of its next generation console, dubbed Project Helix. There isn't a hard launch date, but new Xbox CEO Asha Sharma is promising that the console will lead in performance and play both your Xbox and PC games. I guess we'll see how this all fares, being as Valve's Steam machine is still targeting a 2026 launch and is supposed to be doing something similar to that. But we'll see. All this push towards the talk about bringing back exclusivity and everything, that's what Xbox has going. Again, no set date, just lots of rumors out there, but you're at least still a couple years away from seeing that thing peak out. Rumor mill time, same as always, guys. Dash of salt, pinch of a little something. Take it as just a rumor. I just want to talk about it because it's interesting, and maybe it'll start some conversations with some of the panelists. Maybe they like something here. Prominent industry leaker Dust Golem has posted on Xcancel that Capcom has already begun working on a Resident Evil 1 remake. The 1996 release has gotten a remake before, but that one was 24 years ago now and was on the GameCube, if you remember that one. They also mentioned that the game is still likely years away, but with Resident Evil Stranglehold on the market lately, wouldn't be a really huge surprise to see something like that come along. So we'll see if that happens. I don't know about you guys. Do you think you want to see another remake of Resident Evil 1 with a new Resident Evil engine that they're using? Yeah, that's some nods. Some nods from the panel, some nods from the class.
I've been asking for it. Like Resident Evil 2 worked. I didn't think it was gonna work, and Resident Evil 2 remake was amazing. In fact, I still haven't played the original Resident Evil, but I played the second remake, and I was like, I think I'm starting to understand why you guys love Resident Evil 2 so much, right? So, it's that same thing. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, they already did a remake of that. I'm like, they did that a whole adult ago. So
That's true. Yeah.
let's go ahead and bring it in line with everything else.
Let's see what happens with Chris Redfield coming in with the white Nikes on his
right.
feet.
Right. Coming in with the Air Force Ones. Like, boy, don't wear them white shoes to work because they're not going to be white when you get done. Like, no, leave them at home. Leave them at home. Bring some Timberlands.
In the RE4 style, then I have hope for a Twin Snakes remake also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just me thinking
out loud. Well, Bill Kuhn at Deal Labs is back at it again with this next rumor, this time with a report about titles coming to PlayStation Plus and Classics catalog this month. According to the report, games include Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, Persona 5 Royal, Metal Eden, The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, Astroneer, and Madden NFL 26. For the Classics catalog, though, the report revealed that Tekken Dark Resurrection is going to be coming to that. Obviously, yeah, to the Classics catalog. Obviously, this is still Grand Assault territory. It hasn't been any official announcement. We don't know. But we should be finding out in the next day or so how much of this is actually true. So I don't know if there's any titles on there you guys want to check out or haven't checked out that'd be worth it, but last little bit, a Bulgarian games retailer had their website leak info on Marvel Tokon, and the site was shut down very shortly after, leading a little bit of credence to like, oops, you done messed up. As of writing this today, the site is back up now, but the information that was there had to be screenshotted and was on IMDb, but two unannounced fighters seem likely after the site was shut down, having revealed Magneto and Scarlet Witch coming to the title. Screenshots of the info on the site also mention the stages of Wakanda, Sanctum Sanctorum, and Hellfire Gala. So, well, I guess we'll see if this ends up being true, but if you guys are, I know you guys have been talking about Tokon, how does that sound to you?
I'm in. It's a fighting game, it's got Marvel in it, and made by Arxis. I'm going to play it.
It'll be interesting to see the Scarlet Witch actually in a fighting game this time instead of just in shooter like Rivals.
I would assume she would play like Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
more than likely.
I know that. I remember seeing some people in the subreddits kind of talking about this leak, and it was just they wanted more X-Men representation. Like a lot of them are in the background for this, but they're not in the game. But you got Magneto, which I know was a big get for a lot of fans. But I guess we'll see where the roster goes from here. Maybe some of those background characters will come in DLC.
The hint here is that in their last reveal, they revealed the team, and I feel like since there's two, right, Scarlet Witch and Magneto, there's probably two more characters that will be on that team for the X-Men baddies, I guess. That's my theory.
Who would you like to see?
Oh my goodness, man, put me on the spot. Juggernaut.
You gotta have a well, no, Juggernaut's a staple, right?
Yeah.
But what if they decided to go for an alternate choice for like a big body or a grappler type like Avalanche?
I mean, I would love to see some new characters. I'd also love to see Emma Frost. That'd be cool too. I would love Juggernaut. Like, I would love to see different characters coming in this iteration of Marvel, I guess. And that's just it. And that's not limited to that, right? Because we're gonna get DLC, or there's gonna be more seasons.
Well, there you go, guys. That's the Quick Bites and Rumor Mill for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've learned just a little bit, and you can go into this next week being able to talk about all the cool stuff that you learned from us.
Well, awesome, man. All right, man. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Is your Quick Bites for the week, guys. Keep an eye out because I know Oliver is. It's time for the Watchdog.
There you go. Just like with my introduction to this segment, just give people a little brief background. When I started my news game career, I was a consumer watchdog. I was always keeping my eye out for things going wrong in the industry. There's some real buyer beware type shit, right? I looked at it, and when I started writing about games, I was dirt poor. Now I'm in my mid 40s and I'm still dirt poor, but now I'm smarter.
You're better with your money.
I manage my damn money better, so I thought I'd pass some of that wisdom along. Sometimes we run thin at our margins. Putting gas in the tank or making sure that everyone gets to eat this week takes priority. We have to make the responsible choice to be adults and take care of business first and have fun afterwards when we can afford to do so. So when cash is tight but you still need to have fun, I'm going to try and find games for you that are a great value for the money that you spend. This week, I managed to find a couple of big Switch titles to add to the roster. So now we're going to cover Xbox, the PS4, PS5, PC, Steam, and the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. So starting off with what I found this week, Streets of Rage 4, certified banger for the Xbox, $7.50. The Plucky Squire, which was my game of the year for 2024 on the Xbox, is $8.99. Just in case you're not even really familiar with it, it was also made by the same guys that made the Swords of Ditto, which was a roguelike that I very much so enjoyed on the PS4. Moving on to the PS5 and PS4, Sifu, which we just recently talked about on a separate episode, is $9.99. And then, going back to the roguelikes, because, I love them, Cult of the Lamb. Right? If you ever wanted to be a monster, but do so cutely, that's the one you play, right? And that's up for $9.99. Jumping over to PC and Steam. This one kind of surprised me. I had to put it up there. So Black Desert Online, the MMO, you can get it for 99 cents. It's not a typo. You can get it for $1. It's up there right now.
And it's not a bad piece of cake.
There you go, right? And then the final part of Steam is actually all one franchise, Dead Space. It's Dead Space. And I actually have more than just 2 games that I wanted to point out, just because people love them. So you can get the Dead Space remake, the most recent version, right, for $8.99. Then you can get the original Dead Space as it was for $7.99. I have no clue why you would buy the original when the remake is right there. I don't know why, for $1 more, but
Purists.
not my call. Right?
No one knows it's provocative.
Right? If you're being this pure, it's like it's there, and you can get Dead Space 2 for $3.99 and Dead Space 3 for $3.99. This is all American, so you're gonna have to convert that to your local currencies, people. Right? And then for the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, this was the big one. I think this was the big fish pull that I got out of every game on this list for this week. So Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope Gold Edition. This comes with the Season Pass, all the DLC, all the fixins, right? Is $8.99 down from $90.
Damn.
So yeah, it's a huge savings. Like if that's your thing, please go get it. And if you're like, hey, just save me an 80 extra dollars, I love to see it. Additionally, the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is up for $9.99, and Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is up there for $9.99. So, I'm really glad that I was able to keep things under $10 this week. I thought I was going to struggle this week, but no, I actually found some really cool stuff up there. If you haven't had an opportunity to play these games, now is the time to dive in. They're well received. So thanks for listening to The Watchdog. And next week, there's going to be more.
Yeah, that Mario plus Rabbids discount, though, that is sending me.
Yeah, that's a good buy.
It's a chunker. As Specchio said about Magus, oh, you done pulled in a Marlin. Okay. Oh, he can just do everything. Right? You don't need me.
All right. Well, awesome. Here you go. that'd be some good level up there for your wallet. And and Shao says this was a very good one.
Excellent.
Thank you, Shao. Appreciate you. All right, I'm here to learn. You get to learn what you got up on your sleeve this week, Ace, for the tech. Oh, hold on. I got you, brother. There you go.
Oh yeah, brother.
There we go. Good evening, class. So look, the overarching theme of this semester at the Gaming Academy is, as you all know, playing with intention. I can also say with a high degree of certainty that all of us, from headmaster to student, have one thing seemingly looming over us as we make our way through engaging with this interactive and creative hobby: our backlog. It could get to a point where dealing with one's backlog of games unplayed or games unfinished can turn into a real-life 2020s Ubisoft game. One long checklist of chores and surprise mechanics constantly tugging at your bank account.
Damn, that's rude.
Feel called out. It's too right.
Wow.
However, this problem can actually be a good one to have. That is, if you're open to looking at it from a different perspective. This is what I refer to as the segmented path. So, that whole checklist comparison, though, it actually provides the engine on which this mindset runs. While first laid out in front of you, that bookshelf of games or the pages worth of titles in your PSN or Steam library could look pretty damn daunting. However, if you can narrow your focus and, as an example, play from a smaller selection matching your current state of mind, you can find managing that backlog a bit easier as you inadvertently rediscover favorites in your collection that make you say, let me give this one a shot. It's been a hot minute since I played. So let's look at this from the example of looter shooters like Warframe. There's so much content in the game and so many things to do, from main story quests to collecting weapons and frames, or even exploring the various planets and hubs. To avoid burnout in a game like that, I find that one thing that helps manage that is to find that one thing you want to achieve or obtain. So it doesn't matter how many sessions you take when you try to do so. If you want to craft a Warframe, if you want to focus on grinding for a specific weapon, do that and enjoy what you can. You'll notice that you may be building toward other goals you might already have in mind while focusing on that one specific item. From a fighting game standpoint, consider your character's combo trials. Again, if you're playing something like City of the Wolves or Street Fighter 6. From basic cancels to 2-in-1s to advanced theoretical extreme touch of death combos, it can be a good idea to practice the combos in parts, in segments. Doing so can help you actually figure out how each segment flows into the others, but also it'll help you discover why each segment flows into the others. But one more thing you should never forget when traveling the segmented path, whether it's through your backlog, through certain specific games, or through life as a whole. Celebrate your milestones and successes. Say you finished that combo trial, right? Good. Take a breather, take a drink, take stock of how cool that combo looked or how much damage it did. You unlock that character? You fully explored that dungeon to find the rare item you're gunning for? Did you earn that promotion you had been hustling for months or even years to achieve? Excellent. Give yourself time to be proud that you did it, or at the very least, be glad that it's over. Even if you're the only one celebrating, take that time to appreciate your wins. That will serve as the fuel for the next segment of your journey, once you've had time to relax, reflect, and recharge. This week's assignment, it's pretty simple. Not always easy, but simple. Take one larger long-term task that you have set in front of you. It could be any given game or any project. Break it down into segments. Complete one or two of them over the course of the week. give yourself a chance to celebrate those wins either by yourself or in our Discord. Celebrate with us. Let us share in the victory with you. Or alternatively, take a look at your backlog. Take a game that you haven't played in at least 3 months. You gotta have some distance between you. At least 3 months. Take a game that you haven't played in that long, jump back into it. Have fun with it. And again, take into account previous lessons that we had here, especially the triple S's from last week. And let us know how your experience with that game has changed over the past few months. But again, your backlog doesn't have to be an obstacle. It can be an adventure that leads to growth. And until next session, remember, train hard, fight smart, and may your combos always connect.
Sweet. Funny that you bring that up because I actually take that segmentation of the combo trials as you describe it, piece by piece. Because if I read it all in one time, it overwhelms me and I forget steps. But if you do it by chunks, and then you take breaks from it, you come back refreshed and ready to go. My main example for this is you guys telling me to play Monster Hunter Wilds. When I was away, I was Hunter rank 96, right? And I recently got back into it last month. I'm now Hunter rank 165, I think. So I was trying the gun lance and the lance and getting, just basically learning it, relearning it. Even the gun lance and the lance have huge differences. You can't really play them the same way. And so me coming back to the game with a fresh new set of mentality, experience and eyeballs, right, and new content awaiting me, I feel like this time round I'm having a much better time in a different way. Because the first time was just a story, right? Getting through the story, getting through the events. But now I'm like getting into the next level of the game, the minutia of the game, details of like these small things, like when you're switching weapons and you have that frame of blocking in those weapons, it gets really good. And that is one of those things that you don't get to experience until you just do it yourself and get yourself out there. So I want to tell the class this. I want to tell the chat this. Just because you played it before doesn't mean you can't come back to it again and experience something different. This is what Ace is basically telling us. That's what I'll add.
So, Oliver, Nick, anything on your end?
Well, that's why I replay Mass Effect and almost always choose Paragon when I realize I don't like Renegade again. Or why I keep going back to the Knights of the Republic and I keep playing the same light side kind of thing. Like, yeah, no, I experienced it different, but also at the same time, I realize that I just like it better this way too.
Or revisiting the cabaret clubs in Yakuza 0.
Oh, easy, man. Always going to get S rank there. My appreciation stays the same. That's not me changing, though.
But hey, sometimes you got to refresh just how much you enjoy a game.
Well, I get to do that every week with you three. Like, I get to re-experience a lot of the things that I had done as a kid. So I appreciate that. To your other points, segmenting, taking it bit by bit, that's what baby steps are. And, that's something I've had to tell myself multiple times to do, is not get overwhelmed by the big picture thing. Just focus on what I can actually change right in front of me. Do a little bit by a little bit, and eventually it'll get to the place I want to. Maybe that's why I play too many MMOs. Sorry, Oliver, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's true. That's literally how I've told people how I got good at playing Enter the Gungeon, right? Instead of trying to complete the full run and making myself angry at being unable to complete it, I started breaking the runs down into much smaller goals that weren't necessarily put forth by the game. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to worry about clearing that first floor, right? And just running drills on that over and over and over again until finally it's become routine and all that. When people let themselves get too caught up in the big picture, it can actually just drag your entire experience down. But if you just make your game experience smaller sized goals along the way, next thing you know, you turn around and you have had a great, big, enjoyable experience that was made up of many smaller ones.
Love it. Love it. And that's actually something we brought up, right? Small things lead up to big things. So don't, and celebrate your wins, like Ace said. Like, don't feel too, don't be kinder to yourself, I should say, right? Make sure you celebrate your wins. Because
It's like that domino meme. The small domino up front leading all the way up to the big domino.
If not you, then who, right? So that's what I would say. Fantastic. Well, Ace, thank you for the tech. We appreciate that as always. And of course, here's your Jubilee. Love it. That's how you know you ran through a level. You finished it, cleared it, all the generals. No mercy.
Yep.
And that brings us to the final boss. Once you kill everybody, you still got to fight the last guy on the map. All right. This week's final boss. Let's see what I got here. Man, this one was a tough one. I was trying to get something to relate to pressure, right? And the word meta kept coming back to me because if you guys didn't know, I'm a Magic the Gathering player, right? And in the Magic the Gathering world, there's a thing called meta, right? And the meta in Magic is insane. It is competitive. It is very specific. And if you don't use those cards, then you're at a disadvantage naturally, right? But is it fun? When you're forced to play a certain way, are you still having fun? So this week, it's called The Meta Doesn't Matter If You're Having Fun. This is your final boss for tonight. Let's go. All right. There's a word that appears in almost every competitive game today. That's right. Facebook. No, I'm kidding. It's meta. All right. The most effective tactics available, the best characters, the optimal builds, the strategies that statistically win the most, called the meta. If you've ever played League of Legends, you've seen the meta shift with every patch, right? Champions that dominate 1 month suddenly fall out of favor on the next month. In Overwatch, an entire team composition can define an era of a game. GOATs, they say, dive comps, the double shield, right? In Street Fighter, tier lists get debated endlessly, which players arguing which characters are truly tournament viable. And in games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, entire communities form around optimization, finding the exact weapon, stat distribution, and equipment combination that produces the most damage or survivability. The meta can be fascinating. It's part of a strategy of gaming, but it's also part of the conversation. Sometimes something strange happens. The meta stops being a tool and starts becoming a rule. Players begin to feel like they have to use the best build, the best character, the best strategy. Not because it's fun, because it is optimal. Repeat after me, but because it's optimal, there is no other way. But gaming history has always shown us something interesting. Some of the most iconic players in competitive became legendary not because they followed the meta, but because they broke it. Nick, Evo Moment 37. Let's think about Daigo Umehara in Street Fighter 3, one of the most respected fighting game players in history. The famous Evo moment wasn't a moment of meta optimization. He was playing Ken. Jay Wang was playing Optimal with Chun-Li. It was a moment of mastery, intuition, and creativity. Even the Smash Bros. Melee players like Amsa became famous for competing at the highest levels with Yoshi, a character long considered non-meta. And in StarCraft, players developed entire strategies that changed the meta itself because someone tried something different. The meta didn't create those players. Those players changed the meta. And outside of competition, the idea becomes even more important. Skyrim, some players chase the most powerful builds, but others roleplay wandering archers, traveling merchants, or wandering mages. You choose how you want to play with intention. But in Minecraft, there's technically an ending to the game, but millions of players spend thousands of hours building worlds that reflect their imagination. In Breath of the Wild, you can defeat Ganon relatively early. Yet, many players spend most of their time climbing mountains, experimenting with physics, or discovering hidden paths of Hyrule. Now, none of those players are following the meta. What they're doing is they're following their general curiosity. And this is where the philosophy of Gamer Quotient comes in. Because Gamer Quotient isn't about playing the games correct or the correct way. It's about being aware. It's about having some sense of awareness of systems, awareness of your play style, and awareness of what you enjoy. The meta tells you what wins the most, but Gamer Quotient asks a different question. What helps you grow the most? Maybe that's mastering a difficult strategy, right? Maybe that's experimenting with unconventional builds. Your choice, your intention. Maybe that's simply just exploring a game world that at your own pace. People do it in Skyrim all the time, right? The point is, the value comes from the experience, your experience. Because the truth is, the meta will always change. Balance patches arrive, developers adjust mechanics, strategies evolve every day. Today's optimal build becomes tomorrow's forgotten strategy. But the experience you have while playing, the discoveries you receive from playing the game, the learning that you receive, the creativity that you create, that's what stays with you. So the next time you load up a game and someone tells you that's not the meta, remember something. The greatest players in gaming history didn't just follow the meta. Sometimes they created their own. And that's the real lesson. Because the goal of gaming isn't just to play efficiently, it's to play, Jagos, Andre, that's right, intentionally. And when you do that, your Gamer Quotient goes up. And I'll say this for the end for tonight. The meta may tell you what wins, but the intention tells you why you play. That's your tonight's final boss. All right, any takeaway, guys?
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Absolutely. A lot of my homies know how much I despise meta builds, particularly in Monster Hunter, since that's the thing that we've been talking about tonight. You can sit down and you can spreadsheet yourself all day, every day into going, oh, well, this is the most optimal way. This is the highest damage output. But there are so many human factors that fail to get taken into account. The glass cannon problem. Oh, this is the highest damage. Yes, but if you make a mistake, you're going to pay with everything, And every person that's ever played Monster Hunter with me, I say, you play to survive. The damage will come. It will come on its own, but you got to be like a nuclear cockroach, man. You just can't, no matter how hard the monster hits you, they're not in a position to keep you down permanently. Hell, that's even how I taught Ace how to play Monster Hunter, in fact. And I've always found that meta, while maybe enjoyable for some people, there's not a fun with it, because I honest to God believe that you can. I think for most people, it's not the best way to go. And it reminds me of the launch leading up to the Nintendo Switch 2 versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It just so happened when Nintendo was promoting, those ports and they were doing demos, they had someone who was a Breath of the Wild speedrunner, right, in queue to play this, and he walked right up, and it was the full version of Breath of the Wild, and in front of Nintendo, he went right in there and killed Ganon, and they said, congratulations, you're the first person we've ever had beat a demo. And That's cool. That's cool, right? You walk in there, you're like, no, I know this game front to back. So front to back, he can beat it inside of his allotted play time for the demo because he knows what he's doing. I respect that hustle. That's just neat. But the meta can't be everything. It can't be the end all be all, or else you risk missing out on enjoying what the game was in the first place. Now, if you've played through a couple of times, right, and then you're shooting for an fully optimized build to do something, yeah, of course, no problem. But if it's your first time playing the game and you're just going, well, it's the meta build, I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing, well, you are then not playing the game. Someone else is playing the game, and you're just a distant digital proxy for someone else, right? And I kind of look at it that way. It's like, I mean, I talked about State of Decay 2, right, and getting people into that, and I enjoy State of Decay 2, but I've played through it multiple times. I've cleared the legacies, right? I've done all the bells and whistles, and now I'm going through and going, okay, how can I tighten this up? How can I make this a little bit more optimal? How can I take control of this zombie apocalypse? And that's the new fun for me. So I think ultimately it comes down to meta is time and place, right? When you decide to engage in it and at whose expense. I mean, if you're doing it with other people, I've not seen it play out well. When it's by yourself, that is how you can actually get yourself into a position where you increase your gamer quotient because you've now increased your understanding of the game. It's not enough to do meta shit. It's about understanding why you would do it in the first place.
Well said. Beautifully executed. Nice. Anybody else?
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing, and most of what I play has rather large meta communities surrounding these games. I mean, Monster Hunter, for example, Warframe, First Descendant, and most of the builds that I've either found or stuck with after experimentation are just ones that eschew the whole concept of trying to do the most damage or trying to take part in the meta so much as just, this is a goofy way to play the game, y'all should try this. I mean, you could say that's my own personal meta game. It's okay, I've seen a lot of the optimal stuff in my multiple playthroughs of this. Now let's see what's goofy, what makes the game fun.
Yeah. Nick, for you?
I think more than anything, what intentionality means to me is just making thoughtful choices rather than operating on autopilot. I can get into autopilot sometimes when I play games, when I'm down to not having as much time as I used to engage with my hobby. It kind of reminds me of the thing I hated about Diablo 4, which was like, I felt like I couldn't have fun unless I played the meta because I didn't do enough damage. The game wasn't enjoyable. So I felt like I had to enjoy that game, which made me dislike that game even more. The whole spirit of playing with intention didn't apply to me when I was playing that. And it just, there's a spotlight on that now after hearing you talk about it. Just trying to understand my own feelings about that game. Because it's such a pretty game, such a great package, and I love Diablo. But, man, I couldn't play that when my buddies would roll in, do the meta build, zip around, have a bunch of fun, collect all this stuff, and I'm sitting here just like, I'm just not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this experience. So,
Yeah, just level you are.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, the focus on not playing on autopilot is a thing. That's why I enjoy the Yakuza games so much. Is like, it's my intention just to go and be goofy and then go and do something melodramatic. Hits both of those things for me, kind of thing. And those are the choices that I get to make in the game. I don't always, I'm not forced into it. So.
Yeah. I think I don't know, Ace or, Oliver, our generation would probably say that, we lived in an era of no patches in arcades. So we would chose characters we liked in fighting games, right? So we are hardcore fans. Ace, I know for sure, doesn't do meta. He goes with, I love this character and this is what I'm going to play. I don't care if they're trash, right? I will make them good. I love that attitude.
The Legend of Dan Hibiki.
Actually, yes, it's Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I'm a Spider-Man player in Marvel 2. That man has no health and is garbage at combos. So that's what I'm saying. Like we lived in an era where we didn't have that, the optimization. We just picked characters we enjoyed. Now, of course, there's MSP. What that means is Magneto, Storm, and Psylocke, technically the highest tier characters in the game, right? But if you go to the tournaments that are playing Marvel for money, they're not picking any other characters. And so imagine going to a tournament and watching the same 6 characters be chosen over and over again, right? It's there for the money. They're not there for creativity. They're there to win a game, right? And that's why that's their intention, is to win. So they're not going to choose unoptimally because they're putting themselves at a disadvantage, right? What I'm saying is that, if that's the way you're going to play with intention to win, absolutely, I agree with you on that. But if you're there to have fun and just discover things, even discovering the meta for yourself is part of discovery, right? If you're just like, I've never tried this before, but I'm going to try it, right? I could say that's a part of your journey and increasing your gamer quotient, because how do you know you don't like it if you don't try it, right? But I just was brought back immediately to fighting games when I thought of this portion. So, all right, anything else, guys? Any more things you want to add, tidbits for the week before we close it out for the night?
I love that we have 7 minutes to have tidbits of the week.
The timbits at the end.
Tidbits.
That's everything I had for the week.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean,
I had some gaming takeaways. I like to hear everyone's gaming takeaway for the week. If you guys had any ahas.
Aha.
well, I mean, just again, the fact that Nick, the fact that you're actually having a chance to really put to words your feelings about playing on autopilot or playing the meta, actually being able to articulate that through listening to what we've been talking about, that's definitely a plus for me, because everyone's getting to learn something.
Discovery, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very good at talking on my ass, Ace. You're absolutely right.
I will add, I started playing Shadow Tactics. Do you guys know what game that is? It's basically Japanese Edo Commandos, right? And it's a strategy game, and I'm bad at it. But I'm still playing it because I'm enjoying it. But I'm just letting you know, I'm watching myself and I'm playing the replays. I'm like, God, I'm so trash at this game.
Actually, you know what? Since we have 5 minutes left, anyone who's still hanging out with chat and panel, what are you playing right now? We haven't done now playing in a while. Like, what are you guys actually playing? I know we kind of connected a little bit leading into the podcast, but outside of our busy lives, what are you playing right now?
Yeah,
State of Decay 2, Romeo is a Dead Man, and I did start playing Scott Pilgrim, and I am deeply unimpressed.
Really? Is it more of the same?
EX, right?
Yeah. It just, something feels off. I think Absalom ruined me, right? Because it's so stellar.
Oh, that's Absalom.
Just outstanding work. And then Scott Pilgrim is, visually it looks fine, but it's got this weird boredom to it that I can't quite pin down. So I need to play it some more to figure out, why am I feeling bored by this when this is my genre? I love a good fight.
Is it exactly like the first game, just more of it?
No.
Okay.
It's a little bit more. You can swap between characters anytime. It's more River City like than it was before, but oddly feels worse to me. Right? Like just the general confusion there. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. I would love to hear an update next week if you figure it out, because I'm curious as well. So, my big takeaway for the week: I tried Bolt Gun for the first time. That retro shooter, arcade-like shooter, basically that genre. Still good, feels good to play, sounds good to play, and I don't expect any more or any less from it, because my expectations were tempered. Like the Emperor's Sword.
Yeah.
Any other games that you've been playing besides that?
Me?
Yeah.
Shadow Tactics, Monster Hunter Wilds, they're all right here. Star Renegades is a good one. If you want to do a roguelike turn-based strategy or RPG game.
What about you, Ace?
Let's see. Yeah. For me, Warriors Orochi 3 been actually getting back a little bit on Vindictus. Again, just kind of taking the graphics card for a nice run to see what it can handle here. So yeah, Warriors Orochi 3, Vindictus, of course, Monster Hunter Wilds, revisiting Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and also, of course, running the PS3 emulator, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, Transformers War for Cybertron, and Captain America Super Soldier.
Oh.
That
Damn.
game should not be as good as it is.
It was one of the best comic games at the time when it came out, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
I did beat Transformers Devastation the other week also. Had a busy week of gaming, so good stuff. All right. Anything else before we close it out?
Nope.
No?
All right, Ace, take us home.
Gladly. And that right there brings us to the end of tonight's class. If you enjoyed the discussion tonight, make sure you join the Gaming Academy. Make sure you join the community. And if you want to be a part of segments like the Headmaster's Desk, make sure you jump into our Discord where the community submits topics for the show. Because Gaming Academy isn't just about us talking. It's about learning together as gamers. And if you want to represent the mindset, you can check out the official Gaming Academy merch store. Because Gamer Quotient ain't just a brand. It's a philosophy. The belief that the things we learn in games, patience, resilience, adaptation, creativity, are all skills we carry into real life. So, keep playing with intention, keep leveling up, and keep asking yourself the question that we ask every week here at the Academy. What's your Gamer Quotient? Until next time, class dismissed.
It's 5. That's what it is.